Hey y'all, it's the new year, so I thought I would come on and say hi and just talk for a bit. It's been a while since I made a video, so what's been going on? It's January, it's the new year. That's pretty cool. And we've been getting a ton of rain in Northern California, which was much needed. We're coming up on the seventh year, I think, of the drought, and the fact that it's been raining for the past 2 weeks is really good. It's going to benefit all of the trees and wildlife out there, so that's good. What else? I don't know. It's been a while since I came on and rambled to you. So, uh, how do I spend my days? Been rock climbing a lot. So if I'm not bouldering, I'm at babysitting, and if I'm not babysitting or bouldering, then I'm at home in bed watching Netflix or reading. And if I'm not doing those things, I might be hiking with friends. I went out with my girlfriends and we hiked all around the hills and we found mushrooms and banana slugs and I found the jawbone of a deer. And what else? We saw some beautiful, beautiful things. So it's so good to get out into nature. If you have the opportunity to go somewhere green, do it. Get your grounding on, hug a tree, feel the earth, connect, and that kind of thing can be so good. I find when I'm having a bad day, I try to remember, have I eaten lately? Am I hydrated? And I take care of that. And then I take a nap maybe. Sometimes all you need is rest and a new perspective, or getting out into the woods. If you can go somewhere like a park or a garden that's pretty, that can help you reset so, so good. So those are things that I love. If I'm not doing any of those things, what have I been doing lately? Dog walking, applying for jobs, thinking about moving somewhere beautiful. I'd like to get out of the city, so that is the hope for this new year. I can see a squirrel in the tree, it's distracting me. Little squirrel! What else though? Yeah, I don't know. Why am I sitting so close? I feel weird about it. Maybe I'll talk about New Year's resolutions because, on the one hand, I think they're kind of silly that we also, like Christmas, we kind of identify and then subjugate. Is that the right word? We take these things and we put them into little snippets of our time and we kind of section it out. We segregate is the word that I want, I think. We segregate these little moments and we say, oh, it's Christmas time. Let's be nice to people and like love your fellow man. But then the rest of the year, you're not supposed to do that. Just like New Year's, you're supposed to have these resolutions and you keep them for maybe 3 or 4 weeks or a few months if you're going really strong, but they kind of peter out. And I think that we should have more accountability and keep up with these things. If they're important enough that we aspire to them, let's do it throughout the year. And let's not beat ourselves up if we don't always floss every single day, or maybe we don't make it over to work out or something like that. But always be mindful of yourself and your progression, and if you're getting better as time goes on or if you're getting worse. So things that I strive for are being open and honest and living with integrity are just the most important things to me. So whether that means bringing something up, if somebody did something that really bothered you, like of course let things go. But if somebody does something that like miffs you or you just want to get that off your chest, that's important. And to do it with a kind of sensitivity. You don't have to go off on them and we're not like flipping tables and screaming at people, but just to speak your truth and be open and honest. And then to have integrity to me means mean what you say, speak with intention and forethought, and don't just say things. I actually have a few people in my life who I catch them just saying things and they're not even true. And then if I question them about it, they're like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't really mean that. And it's just, that doesn't strike me as being genuine. It's kind of lazy to just say whatever. So speak with intention and care, and to have integrity means to admit when you're wrong and be willing to apologize. This happened to me recently. I was at the rock climbing gym, and one of the guys there that I've gotten to know because he's there just as much as I am, if not more, you start to recognize, even though there's hundreds and thousands of people who go to this gym, the people who really go often, you start to get to know some people. So he said, hey, do you want to go belay? And I said, sure. Will you wait for me to get out of my core class? So when I was done with that, Uh, we were going up. I think I sent him up the wall like 4 times, and then me also. We were going back and forth. And on like the fifth time, maybe when it was his turn, he got on the wall and he started going. And it was my fault. I should have communicated that there was too much slack in the rope, but I was just planning on getting it taut. And I thought, I have 40 seconds before he's going to fall, so it's not a big deal. He did. He slipped and he fell within 35, 40 seconds of getting on the wall, and he climbed pretty fast, so he had already gotten up like 2.5, 3 feet. So when he fell, he hit the ground. He didn't just, the rope is supposed to be completely taut, so when you fall, you just swing back and forth. You don't go down. But there was like a good 2.5 feet that I was in the process of getting, and he was upset. And he accused me of not holding onto the brake. You're always supposed to have one hand at least on the rope at the bottom. And I was holding onto the brake. It's just that the rope was too tight. It was my fault. It was too loose, and I was really embarrassed. And I kind of thought, God, I don't ever want to top rope again. And he didn't brush it off and say like, that's okay, mistakes happen. You've only been doing this for a few months, and it is a big deal. I know that it is because it's someone's safety, and I would never be distracted or not do a good job if someone was up high. I just, for some reason in my head, I thought there's no way that this experienced climber who's working on like V9s in the bouldering section is going to fall. I have enough time. So it was my fault, and I learned a lesson that someone can fall at any time. So I tried to think about how to handle it, and I was too awkward to talk to him in that moment. So he was like, well, we're done with this. And I was like, okay. So he went off and he started bouldering some more. And I just kind of like sat there for a while and thought about it, and I felt ashamed of what happened, and it did affect me. I thought about it like every day for about a week, and I didn't go to the gym, partly because I didn't want to run into him, and I felt like I had done something really bad. So I wrote him an apology note, and it was like a page long, and I just said all the things that I said now. It was my fault. I didn't communicate that I shouldn't have let you on the wall. I figured you wouldn't fall, and I had enough time, and I'm so glad that nothing bad happened. And he read the note, and I gave it to him and left so he could process it. And it wasn't so that he would say, I wasn't trying to get a response from him. It was just that I needed to say that, like, I took his safety seriously and I learned something, and thank you for that, belay lesson of that. And he did. He came up to me later and he hugged me, which I don't like, but he hugged me and he said that he had overreacted the other day, and it wasn't, like, it didn't warrant him getting so. And I disagreed with that. I think that he was totally in line, and it was something that I needed to learn, I guess. And I prefer bouldering because it's just you jumping on the wall, and you don't have to wait for anyone, and it's usually not as crowded. It's more independent, and you're only in charge of yourself, whereas you're waiting for like 4 minutes for someone to go up the wall, or they're waiting for you. And I don't know. Top roping is okay, but I definitely prefer bouldering. So I don't know. Anyway, this guy, we'll call him S because his name starts with an S. S said that we could boulder again if I wanted to get some practice, and I declined. I don't want to boulder, or I don't want to go up the wall with him again. But I feel good that we're on like solid terms, and to me, it was awkward to process that whole thing and have that like potential confrontation. But it was a good conversation, and I tried to be accountable for the mistake that I had made, and I think that we're good. We squashed it, so that's nice. What are some other things that have happened recently? I don't even know. I've been writing a lot. Maybe that's why I'm not posting videos, is I usually process things by talking about it out loud. And instead I've been just writing like literal essays lately. Like for hours at a time, I'll take a subject and I'll kind of process why it affects me in a way and what that means for what society has ingrained within me. I guess I can talk about one of them. If you want, if you're here, it's already been 10 minutes, but I'll keep talking because why not? Maybe you're bored as hell or you can't sleep or whatever. So there's this girl on my Facebook, and I found her, I think, through the Vegan Women of Australia group. And I thought, this girl is so beautiful, and she cares about animal rights, and we have a ton in common, I'm sure. So I either accepted her, I added her, I don't remember, it was a while ago. And I thought that I would like her posts, but I was wrong. She seems to just post like selfies and like underwear selfies, and I don't know, it seems very narcissistic, like all day long. So her photos will show up in my feed, and it was bothering me. She also talks about issues, of course. She talks about sexism and racism that are inherent in our culture. So I appreciate some of her stuff, but for the most part, it was just like, myself, myself, myself. And she always had a full face of makeup, and she always has her hair like perfectly straightened and done, and she has acrylic nails on, and she's wearing like, lace bras that she intentionally, like, just, how do I explain it? It's a complicated thing because in myself, and you're probably saying this too, is like, why do you care? Why should I care what she does? And that's where I landed on this issue. But then I wanted to kind of process within myself, because I think it's important to look within and constantly be improving, like I talked about earlier. So I said to myself, why do I care, honestly? And I remember growing up being uncomfortable with people who kind of exuded or flaunted a sexuality. And I remember when I was like 14, this girl, Mika, was coming to school in like a mesh shirt, and she was like, "Oh, you can see my bra." And it's like, yeah, you knew that when you left the house. And I remember just kind of resenting that. And I don't know if it was because I was jealous or just judgmental, but I think that that's bad. That's my problem, because women, people, anyone should be able to wear whatever they want that makes them happy, and they should be able to act in whatever way that makes them happy, because they're not hurting someone. So it's funny, I think that people shouldn't have the right to eat animals because that involves exploitation and killing. And I think that that's something that if I were omnipotent, suddenly I had all this power, or I was a lawmaker, I would want to work to make that less and less legal. So it eventually became not the norm. And I know that that's such a minority opinion. Everybody will hate me for it. And I know that that's like the fringe. It's like maybe 1%, maybe 1% of people would agree with me on that. Probably not even. And I guess I figure that if you're 12 minutes into this video, you like me enough that you probably already know that. It's like, why else are you watching? And if we have a differing opinion, which we probably do, that's okay. This is where I'm coming from, is I think that we shouldn't murder animals. So that's important to me. I think that that is way worse, somebody eating a hamburger, than somebody who wants to walk around naked down the street. I think that that's not hurting anybody. I think we've been taught to hate our bodies and say, God, I'll love myself once I lose that final 10 pounds, or I'll love myself if I can get rid of these stretch marks, or, I'm going gray, so I'm going to resent myself for it. Stuff that's natural, we're taught to just fear our bodies. Why? So that we'll buy shit to make up for it. I have stretch marks, but I also have this like $300 dress. Don't I look great? Like, I think that that is important to question. And for that reason, I don't know, I'm getting off topic, but I remember all these instances where a certain kind of girl would make me feel negative feelings, and I wanted to get to the heart of it. And I remember also growing up, my mom would use words like floozy, or someone was dressed slutty, and I think that I internalized that a lot. And I know that she was only coming from that place because probably her mother said things like that, and her mother before her, and it's a cycle. And we have these women who very recently, only 100 years ago, were so demure and subservient, and women in the kitchen, and don't speak your opinion, and do what your husband says, and, hold on to your virginity, and that's the thing that makes you valuable, and dress modestly, don't speak too much, just have dinner warm when your husband gets home. And I'm really upset that that was women's role, and that they had to put up with that. I think that it's horrible. So looking back on our history, we have all these women who are in this competition with each other to get the best guy, to have the nicest house, to have the cleanest home, to have kids and the white picket fence and all that. And I think that we've been so brainwashed for so long. And that carries over through generations and generations. So I want to consciously say, why do I judge this girl for looking a certain way? If it makes her happy, if it makes someone happy to have implants or get a nose job, or they want to get Botox or liposuction. If someone wants to do stuff like that, should it bother anyone else? Because it's not their money, it's not their life. And it's not totally black and white, because I do think that there's something to be said for wasting your money on elective procedures. I wish that everyone could just be happy as they're born, and I wish that society didn't put these horrible pressures on people to look a certain way or act a certain way or want these various things. But society does, and I think it is people's right to live the way that they want to live. But I guess, I don't know, it was fleshed out more in the essay that I wrote about it, and it was much more articulate, hopefully. Thinking back on it, it's kind of hard to express, but is there anybody in your life who just certain kinds of people bother you and you kind of categorize them, group them together, and maybe make unfair assessments or assumptions about their character or something like that? So this one girl who keeps posting every day, like multiple selfies, and they're usually pretty sexual. She also posted something talking about how she was wearing a tank top and it had a really big armhole, and she wasn't going to wear a bra, and her boobs were going to come out throughout the day, and she was probably going to be like exposing her nipple. And she said that wasn't something that she was concerned about, and that other people need to learn to stop sexualizing, hypersexualizing women's bodies. And I definitely agree with that. But I think it's silly that she will post photos of like her butt that you can completely see because she's wearing like white lace underwear, and it's just a photo of her butt and like her hands on her butt, and her nails are all done up, and it just seems like contradictory to me in some way. But that's so offensive for me to say that feminism can only be held by people who don't look like Playboy models. Like, that's her right. If she wants to do all that stuff and it's her upkeep, it's her, hour and a half that she has to spend at the nail salon. If that's what she wants to do, more power to her. Why do I have a problem with it? So I really want to work on looking within myself and saying, you do this, you live the way that you want to live, and I'm not going to have an issue with that. So many people judge others for their religion or their lifestyle choice, if they're gay, if they eat a certain way, if they're organic or not. We have all these levels and classifications for one another, and it would be great if we could let those go and not care so much. So I want to work on that within myself. That's something that I'm hoping to do for the new year. I also have a resolution to floss and oil pull at least 5 times a week and drink a lot of water, and I'm trying to stop spending all money. So I will be buying food, of course, and necessities, like once in a while getting gas for the car, things that most people need to do. But I would like to stop spending money on things like cute sweaters that I find on ModCloth. And so what if they're $10 instead of $75? Like, you don't need it. Please stop spending money. You need to start saving money. So my goal is to be working full-time. So I'm going to try to find another nanny job or potentially something having to do with horticulture. So if I do move somewhere more green and pretty, I could work on a farm maybe. You guys have been saying that forever. Why don't you just work on a farm? Why do you have to start your own farm? Why don't you just get a job on a farm, gain some experience, and be doing the things that you want to do? And I'm finally getting to the point where I'm like, yeah, that does make sense. Even though it'll hurt me inside a little bit to not be doing exactly what I want to be doing and, growing for myself, doing it for others, that'll be difficult, I think. But, I'm not doing that anyway. It's not like either work on someone else's farm or work on my farm. It's either live in the cold, gray, crime-filled city or at least be doing the kind of thing that you want to be doing. So I want to make progress in that sense, and I want to be saving money. I want to be writing. I think I'm going to work on a lot of these things that I've been toying with and kind of flesh them out, edit, make it more coherent and have a point. And I put these things out as like hypotheticals, and I don't really come to a conclusion. Why does sexism exist? Or how can we deal with like police brutality in the militarized industrial complex? Like, there aren't easy solutions, but it's worth talking about, I think. So I want to do that more, and I want to submit to various publications that I read and I appreciate and respect. I would like to put my work out there, not with the expectation that they will want to publish anything, because I'm not a college graduate, and there's no shortage of articles being written. There are lots of people who are wonderful, amazing writers. So I don't know, just as an experience, I thought that I would send some stuff out, see if any of it sticks. And what else? I'm going to keep working on making my body strong with the climbing. It's hard though, because I feel like my nails have never grown faster. It's crazy. A few years ago, I was like, why are my nails not growing that fast? And now that I need them to be short, they seem like every few days I need to cut them, like literally every 2 to 3 days. So, wah wah. White girl problems, white wine. I'm going to continue dog walking, reading, living a life that I enjoy. So it may not be super lucrative in the financial sense, but I'm happy and I feel good about things. So that's important. I'm going to try to sell my soul and get more hours and be like a little workaholic for a while, because that would be great if I spent like a full year and a half doing that, working, getting that hustle. Then I think that I could start the farm. And I love it. I crave it. I want to have groups of people where we talk about these kinds of ideas and we get stuff done. Everybody's super motivated and we have these awesome permaculture, woodworking, cooking, everything that you love to do. You do it on the farm, possibly with other people, as a collaboration, and it enhances everything. And that would be so cool. I just imagine some people will have musical talents and they'll make music on the farm. Some people will be seamstress types and they will make beautiful quilts or dresses or whatever their heart desires. Like people having these old world practical skills. So they're maybe not good at, I don't know, time management or filling out insurance forms or whatever, but they're good at things that really matter, like beekeeping or making candles or dyeing with natural things like onion skin, like things that I want to do. I want to do this with other people. So I want to make tinctures and salves, and I want to build benches and cob houses and yurts, and I want to do all these amazing things with other people. Maybe some of you guys, who knows? I want to start talking about the farm more. I want to get all the ideas written down in one place. So I need to take all the journals that I've kept throughout like the past 6 years, and I need to condense everything, get it together, and I want to start a Kickstarter, ask for like $5 from people, because the page just hit 31,000 likes the other day. And if all of those people gave $5, I would have a farm. But of course, that's not going to happen. So I just need to come up with ways to get that to happen, whether it's investors or figuring out how to get the word out about a Kickstarter campaign like that and what exactly I would offer. And I already have a lot of ideas, but nothing's finalized, nothing's going forward yet. So I need to focus on that stuff. Yeah. I'm also making buttons, Bernie Sanders buttons, and buttons with like a little TARDIS on it, and buttons with Flight of the Conchords inside jokes, or It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like little kitten mitten buttons. I want to do things about the things that I love so much, like maybe like a David Bowie tribute button, like things that made the world beautiful or funny or whimsical, things like that. I want to celebrate them and make little buttons about it. So I don't know. I probably won't talk too much more about that, but that's just, yeah, I love my button maker, you guys. Wanted you to know. So, gosh, that was a long video. I don't even know if YouTube will let me upload something this long, but if you watched it, you need to get a hobby. Let's be honest. This is not a good way to spend your time. No, I appreciate it. And look, my teeth are going whiter and whiter. I've been oil pulling like twice a day on average. So, yeah, I have a video on oil pulling if you're curious about that. I have a video on everything if you're curious about everything. So I have to go soon and drive my kid to her volleyball practice. Yeah, lots of odd jobs. It's good stuff. Babysitting tomorrow, I get to see my nanny kids, the boy that I was with for 3 years, and he's starting kindergarten next year. It's incredible. Gosh, I love him. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later, and hopefully things are going really well with you. Happy New Year. I will make more videos shortly, and you just wasted 25 minutes of your life. So, congratulations.